Thanks for listening to English Go Podcast. If you'd like to listen without adverts, read episode transcripts, or listen to extra bonus episodes, please check the description for more details. It is snowing in Japan, or at least it's snowing where I am, near Tokyo, and that's great, you know, it looks nice, and I like snow. I don't like being in snow so much. Well, that's not true. I like going out when it has snowed, and that's fun. But I mean, I don't like having to travel in snow. That is not fun. And I also don't like when I've gone out on a bike ride to another town, like the neighbouring town, because I've read on the weather forecast that it's not going to snow until much later, and then it does snow, and I don't have an umbrella or anything, and I get completely soaked, absolutely drenched, very, very wet when I'm trying to come home, which is exactly what has just happened. So this morning, I'm not sure, to be honest, I'm not sure when I checked the weather forecast last. Maybe I checked it last night, maybe it's my fault, but I thought that I'd checked it this morning, and it had said it's not due to snow, so it shouldn't snow until, I thought, around 4 p.m. So I went out with my wife this morning, she went to the bus stop, and I was on my bike, and I said, it's not going to snow until, about 4 p.m, and she said 5 p.m. I thought, okay, go out for a bike ride in the morning, maybe come back around lunchtime, something like that, should be fine. And it was pretty cold. It's about 5 degrees. It was 5 degrees when I set out. It's 4 degrees now, so it's got a bit colder. So yeah, pretty cold. But I was perfectly warm. I'd put some extra warm trousers on. I got some gloves on. I got a big, a down coat on, and that's very warm. Had a hat on, and I was on a bike ride, and it was fine. I was warm. It's not a nice day, it's very cloudy, but it's bright enough. And, it was a pleasant enough bike ride until it started raining. Well, the first sign I got that something was wrong is I was on my bike ride going away from my house, and I was already in the next city by this point, and it started snowing just a tiny bit, and I thought, it's a bit strange. That's a lot earlier than forecast, and I thought maybe it's just one of those one-off things, it's just going to snow for really not heavy snow, really tiny bits of snow, and I thought, maybe it's just going to happen for 10 minutes and then stop, and so I carried on and I ignored it, and it stopped. So I thought, okay, that's the last of that. And I went so far, I went a bit further than I'd been before in this direction, and in the end I didn't really find anything. I was looking for more open spaces and more fields and things like that, but I got to this one place, and there were some fields there, farmers' fields, and so it was a bit open, but there's loads of factories all around, factories and warehouses and electricity pylons, those big structures that carry electricity everywhere all over the country. So it didn't really look great, to be honest. It looked very industrial, not pretty at all. So I thought, okay, I'll turn around and I'll head back home now. And I thought, it might, I don't know, maybe it's going to start snowing a bit earlier than forecast. So just as I turned around and started to go home, it started to rain. And it was just a bit of drizzle at first. Drizzle is very, very light rain. And I thought, that's, it's not too bad. It took me about an hour, actually, to get to where I was. But I was going very slowly. I was just having a nice, leisurely bike ride, a very slow, relaxing bike ride, just listening to podcasts, doing a bit of study whilst I'm riding my bike. And it started to get a bit heavier, to the point where you're sort of riding along, you're riding your bike, and it's like the rain's going into your eyes, and it's making it a bit hard to see. I'm thinking, oh dear, this is no good. I've got to stop and sit down. So I found this park that I could sit down in, and it had like a wooden hut, like some seats with this roof over. So I sat down there with my bike, and I thought, I'll just sit here and wait till it stops. I thought it's just passing rain, because I know it's not due to rain until, snow until much later in the evening. So I was sitting there for a while, and I was just, sitting down, enjoying my podcast, relaxing. I was warm, and I thought if I need a drink or something, I can just go to like a nearby vending machine. There's some toilets in the park. If I need to go there, there's loads of convenience stores all over the place. So if I need some food, so I just thought I'll just stay here for a while and just wait till the rain goes. No problem. I was sitting there for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I thought, let's check the weather forecast. Let's look. Let's see what when the rain's going to stop. So opened my phone, looked at the app, and it was not going to stop. It was just going to get worse from here on. So it had slowed. The rain had slowed down a bit by now, and I thought it's only going to get worse. I've just got to go now. The longer I wait, the heavier the rain is going to get. Like the chance of the rain was like going up from 50% chance to like 75% chance, and then higher. So it's I had to go. So I started riding, and it started raining a bit more, and I was just getting absolutely soaked. Like, I was looking at my coat that I was wearing, and the sleeves were just shiny with water, just shiny wet. And I could feel like all of my fringe, the hair at the front of my head, it was all soaking, and my face was getting a bit wet, and I was riding hard. I was riding quite fast, trying to get home. So like the way going was a nice, leisurely, relaxing ride. The way back was not. I was just pedaling and pedaling and pedaling, and I didn't stop. And I think I managed to get back in. It was probably like 20 minutes or something, like record time. I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes, something like that. So really fast. But yeah, I was already soaked by the time I got back. But I wasn't. I mean, my clothes were very wet, but I was okay. The fringe, the fronts of my hair, that was a bit wet, but like rest of my hair was fine because I had a hat on. My body was dry because my coat got wet, and thankfully I'd put these sort of like warm, like hiking trousers on before I set out, and I don't think they're waterproof, but they're so thick that I didn't get wet. So I had to change clothes when I got back, but not too wet. It could have been worse. It could have been much worse if it had started like really tipping it down, really raining heavily. That would have been terrible, because I just would have been riding back in 20 minutes of really heavy downpour, heavy rain. But as it stands, I think I was quite lucky, although I'm not sure why it is snowing now instead of at 5 o'clock. So the weather forecast has definitely changed. But I do like snow, just like I say, when I'm not caught in it. So I'll see how it goes. I don't know if we're going to have a lot of snow, or if it's going to, there'd be that snow that sort of just comes and then goes, and it doesn't really stick to the ground. It just makes everything wet. But it does look like it's going to get quite cold today. So if it's cold enough, it should stick to the ground. And we've got snowy conditions forecast for the whole day. So who knows? We might get a decent amount of snow. And it's not the first time I've seen snow here in Japan. It did snow last year, around about this time, actually. And there wasn't a lot of it. There was just a bit of it. So I haven't seen like a lot of snow. When you look outside and there's about, 5 centimeters at least. I've not seen anything like that. You can always see like, the snow has covered this bit, but it's not covered that bit over there. So it's not really been too heavy snow, too thick. So it would be nice to see some heavy snow, to see like look out and just see like Japan covered in white That would be quite nice to see. But at the same time, my wife's had to travel out today to go to work, and she's had to go somewhere a bit further away. So if it does snow like that, she's going to have a hard time getting back home. So yeah, it probably is a good idea. It's probably a good thing if it doesn't snow heavily. But we've just got to see what happens. See what happens with the weather. And I have no idea, because the forecast, I can't trust it anymore. Anyway, until next time, I hope you're a lot drier than me, and I hope your studying is going really well. Bye-bye.
How many of your employees are trying to balance paying bills and saving for retirement? Support your participants today and tomorrow with Vanguard well on your way at institutional.vanguard.com. All investing is subject to risk. Advice provided by Vanguard Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor.